What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today I wanted to take a look at Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is a brand new game, currently closed beta access only, also available in the Philippines if you happen to live there. But if you haven't heard of this game yet, it is very, very simple to play. I will tutorialize it once we get into the games, but every week there is a new featured location in Marvel Snap that is just more likely to show up. And again, you'll see what that means as the gameplay starts. So it does provide some additional incentive to kind of build around that featured location. And I wanted to take a look at the deck that I threw together for this location. As I'm recording this right now, I've played 0 games with this exact deck, so we'll see how things go. But I'll just run through the cards here and some of my thought process. First things first, I guess I'll just showcase that we've got Namor, which goes along really well with Atlantis, and that's kind of the only means that I'm building around Atlantis in that respect. If Namor is your only card at a given location, it gets an additional 5 power. And then the other thing that we're doing in this deck is we're using some of the main meta combos right now that I've actually just unlocked myself. So haven't really gotten a chance to play with them yet, but we'll see how powerful they are. So the main thing is that this card is super over-tuned. Nova 1 cost, 2 power. When it's destroyed, give your other cards plus 2 power, which just translates into a bunch of stats. You do have to figure out a way to destroy this though, and that's what a lot of the rest of the deck is built around. We've got Carnage, which says on reveal, destroy your other cards here, and then Carnage gets plus 2 for each power or for each card destroyed. And then Deathlock, which is a undercosted card, 3/5 with a drawback. On reveal, destroy your other cards at this location, and we're trying to turn that into a benefit of getting a bunch of bonus stats. And then of course Deathlock can also work well with the Atlantis location, so that is pretty sweet. The rest of it, I guess we do have one other combo in the deck. We're using Moon Girl, which says on reveal, duplicate your hand. One of the main draws for Moon Girl is if you have Nova in your hand, and you can see everything in this deck is pretty cheap, you will be able to duplicate Nova and just get a ton of additional power that way. So that's really strong. And then we're also just playing Devil Dinosaur, plus 2 power for each card in your hand. So this can be a strong card to throw in Atlantis as well, in addition to getting a bunch of value from Moon Girl. The rest is kind of support cards or tech cards for the current meta. We've got Ant-Man, which says if the location is full, it becomes a 1 cost 4 power unit. This is mostly because I don't have some of the other cards to fill out the deck, but Ant-Man I think is just very strong regardless. Definitely the opposite of Atlantis. You don't want to be playing Ant-Man there, but can still be very good. Elektra is just a super powerful card. On reveal, destroy a random enemy 1 cost card at this location. For this reason, a lot of times you want to hang on to Novas though. I mean, if your opponent destroys your Nova, you're still getting the bonus, though yeah, you won't really get as much of the bonus as you could. One way to get a little bit more bonus is by Mr. Sinister, so it just adds a clone of itself to the location with the same power. This allows you to fill up on a location, and one thing that is kind of cool with the deck is you do want to be ahead in the early game. That gives you priority, that it's called, which just gives you a little bit more means to utilize some tech cards for yourself. But 2/2 that makes it 2/2. I also just threw this in the deck. Cable, have never played with this card yet. You can see it's got the common border right now. I'm sure we'll level that up before this video is through, though I don't have too much. We'll talk about the collection system and how you actually acquire cards maybe later on in the video, but allows you to steal a card from your opponent's deck. So most people are playing the same deck, so that's why Cable's good, but it is also going to pump up your Devil Dinosaur. And then on top of all those things, I'm playing 2 tech cards, which can potentially hurt you as well. So we've got armor, ongoing, cards at this location can't be destroyed. So could be potentially a little bit awkward, though it could also be a combo with Deathlock. It allows you to have a location already and then still slam down a Carnage or a Deathlock for just a little bit more power. Now, Carnage won't trigger. It will only get the +2 power for each other card destroyed, but just still allows you to throw additional cards at that location. And then also playing Cosmo, which is on reveal abilities won't happen at this location. And you'll notice Deathlock and Carnage are both going to be on reveal abilities that trigger when you play the card. So these can both hurt you, but the idea is you might be able to mess with your opponent in some nice ways, especially if you get yours and then stop your opponent from doing what they want to do, then you could potentially translate that into a win. So let's play some games, see how this shakes out, and yeah, I'll explain what's going on a little bit in this first one too. All right, let's give it a look-see. So the basic point of Marvel Snap is you can play cards in one of 3 locations throughout the game. There's 6 turns to a game, and at the end of turn 6, you want to be winning 2 of those 3 locations. Whoever does that wins the match. You can also bet points on each game. Every game is worth 1 point, and you can click this to wager additional points throughout the course of the game. Both players can click this once to double the amount of points being played for, and it will also double at the end of the game. During the first 3 turns, one of each of these 3 locations will be revealed in order 1, 2, and 3, and those will have different effects that can change the game. So this one says cards played here are not revealed until the game ends. Wow. Okay, that could be pretty cool to make use of. I don't want to go for it yet. We know my opponent threw a 1-drop down in there. The main thing that I'm thinking is we have Moon Girl and we have Nova. So I definitely want to make use of that by copying my Novas in my hand. So not going to worry about that one just yet. I think that we are going to wind up setting up Nova in the Dark Dimension though. So that is definitely something to consider as far as what we are going to do to end the game. So I think we're going to play here, and maybe this 3rd location will be Atlantis. Our 2nd location is Baxter Building. Whoever's winning this location gets +3 power at the other. So this is good, and you can see our border is illuminated here. The last location is indeed Atlantis. So we do have to potentially watch out for interesting tech cards being played. For right now, I'm just going to throw down Moon Girl, I think in the Baxter Building. Yeah, this seems fine. And I think that the way that the game will work is all of our cards will be revealed first, assuming we are winning in the other locations. So we just got a whole bunch of extra stuff into our hand. We basically have to decide if we are going to be filling up. Oh, you know what? We can dump out some of this stuff right now. We can play the Novas right over here. So let's play Novas. Now we can either play the Cable here or we can hold on to it. We still have like 1 more turn to draw Nova. And you know what the other thing I'm thinking is? Maybe we definitely need to play a Cable right now because maybe we could steal my opponent's Carnage. That would be really, really good. And so I didn't really explain priority too well. We stole their Chavez, so a little bit awkward. Do we want to go for Devil Dinosaur with the +5? I feel like that is a reasonable play. It lets us keep a bunch of stuff in our hands. I'm somewhat tempted to play another Cable, though, to just give 1 more look to try to potentially steal a unit, a destroy effect from my opponent. Because if we don't find the destroy effect, we might just lose this game. So that's a little bit awkward. My opponent running Chavez means that they are probably not playing the exact same deck that we're playing. Sorry. My opponent says when you play a card, this gains +1 power. I'll try to look over all of my opponent's stuff too. So this won't actually shrink the Dino because it will replace itself, but it will mean that we don't get the Atlantis bonus. So I'm going to eschew playing the Cable here and just go for Dino. That way we get the +5 power from that. We're going to have a huge Dino here. And now my opponent plays Deathlock Nova, but that's not great because only Bishop is going to get the bonus. All of these unrevealed cards here are not going to get the Nova bonus, but we draw Carnage on the last turn. So that is absolutely fantastic. Now we just have to decide what we are doing with our last effects here, which basically just comes down to if we want to play Cable in the Dark Dimension, which doesn't hurt us. It'll replace the card for itself with the dinosaur, and I think this means we win the game. So I'm going to go ahead and snap. Now we are playing for 4 cubes. Our Dino's bigger than their Deathlock. Our other stuff is bigger in the Baxter building. So I think that we're doing good. Now, if my opponent takes over the Baxter building, they will have priority in the Dark Dimension, but I think that that's going to be okay for us because, well, they've got like a 1-drop here. I don't remember if they played a 3-cost unit because Cosmo revealing itself first in the Dark Dimension could be pretty scary. That's probably the one way that we lose this game, but NoLucksGiven. Let's go for it and let's see what happens. So my opponent is going to win the Baxter building with their own dinosaur. So now they have priority. Oh, but my cards are still flipping first. Oh, wow. So I had priority before the turn started. So I retain priority here. So now I'm going to Carnage. I'm going to destroy both of my Novas, and that is going to give everything else on the board, including Carnage and including these other cards that I'm about to destroy, +2 and then +4. So this is definitely going to be enough to win the Baxter building and Atlantis, and it might even be enough to win the Dark Dimension when you configure the fact, oh, they lose Atlantis. Yeah, that's not going to go well for them. They might win the Baxter building because of the Dinosaur Moon Girl combo, but no, we are going to wind up winning this game. So every card my opponent played, for the most part, we recognize. The only one that we hadn't seen before is Squirrel Girl, which was a card that I was playing last week when it synergized with the featured location, but now that Atlantis comes up so much more often, you just really don't want an additional squirrel dropping there. So there we go, pretty similar deck for both myself and my opponent. Hopefully I explained everything well enough that you'll understand what just happened, even if you've never seen this game before. Maybe I should have started with a more simple game, but that was a really sweet one to showcase where basically everything in my deck happened exactly as I needed it to. And then I didn't show these cards either. These are just cards that we stole from my opponent with Cable. Not super important, we'll probably see them later on. So let's jump into the next one. So this game looks to be up against a bot. When you see somebody with just a first name as their name, a lot of times that just means they are a bot player, which has made it a little bit awkward for me trying to record some Marvel Snap content, but we'll see how the game goes, how things actually play out. Okay. So our first location is going to be Dream Dimension on turn 5. Cards cost 1 more, which could mean that just Namor costs 5 on turn 5. This typically means you want to play 1 card on turn 5 rather than play a whole bunch of things. And then Onslaught Citadel, this was the featured location last week. Fortunately, Ant-Man we threw in the wrong place, but ongoing effects here are doubled. I think what we're going to want to do for now is just throw Cable in location 1, steal a card from my opponent, and see how that can go. My opponent throws down an Elektra against Ant-Man, so for a bot, they are doing some pretty nice stuff. Let's see what we steal. It's going to be Angela when you play a card here, +2 power. Okay. And that's not considered an ongoing effect. 6-cost cards cost 1 less. Titan, we're not going to be able to make use of that, and neither will really anybody, because it's not like you can play a 6-cost card on turn 5, because on turn 5, everything will cost 1 more. So a little bit of a weird scenario here. I think what I'm going to go for is just Angela. Oh, maybe I don't want to do that there. Maybe I would rather play Angela open still regardless, and then just throw down Electra, because this location is only going to have one more slot, so it might not make too much sense to throw many things there, and hopefully our Electra can kill Nightcrawler. That would be really good. All right, we hit the Electra. Still gives us a win back in this location. So a few interesting things that we could do now. We could go armor Carnage or something weird like that. Next turn, we're only going to be able to play one card. So that's kind of interesting. Cosmo to knock out on reveal at a location is probably our best bet at this point. And we probably just throw it here, despite that not really synergizing with the location. The thing is, next turn we are only going to be able to play one card regardless. And my opponent does sneak in one more on reveal card before we get Cosmo off, so a little bit awkward, and they are probably winning the Citadel, but we should be able to win on Titan. So that's the plan. And then next turn, we're either just going to armor Carnage to give Dream Dimension some additional stats, or we will potentially still Nova if we can find that, plus a Moon Girl. Okay, so doesn't look like that will be the case. I think we're just going to have to hope that we get the win on Titan. We're going to lose on Citadel, and then what I'm going to do for most power is just go armor to protect these other two cards, and then drop Deathlock, which will destroy everything, but be able to destroy nothing. So we'll see if that's enough. Again, we are playing up against the bot here, so they are making some less than stellar plays, but it looks like we are still going to come out with a win, despite losing this location pretty terribly. This is a good example of like just how to play the game despite it being up against a bot. I'll probably limit the amount of bot content. I think I said this at the beginning of the game, but I'll probably showcase this game just because it's interesting. While it's like the first or second game on my channel, it's a very simple game. My opponent wins by 70 or 66 in this location, which is great, but it's not about how much you win by. It is about the quantity. It's about the quantity, not about the quality, actually. So we get a win by 8 and a win by 9, but we win 2 locations to my opponent's 1, which means that we do indeed win the game. So that is basically how Marvel Snap is played. And hopefully we can find some more real locations, or real opponents rather, to showcase this deck. The King of Bling. So this is probably a real opponent, but yeah, it's fine when you are just trying to grind in your spare time, especially as this will just be a mobile game that people play before bed and stuff like that for the most part, but a little bit annoying when you're just trying to record something. So Dream Dimension could work well with Namor. We also have an Ant-Man, and I think what I would like to do, I mean, we can just play cards here, that's fine, keep a potential Atlantis open. I still want to get rid of cards in my hand for Moon Girl. I'm kind of just learning how everything in this deck works, but on turn 6, cards can't be played in the vault, so potentially dropping Namor here on the final turn. That might be something to consider. I think we just run out armor, and then next turn, if we draw Nova, we'll play Moon Girl. If we draw a dinosaur, we'll play Moon Girl. Maybe we could Namor in both the Vault and Subterranea. That would be really interesting. I think that Cosmo could go fine in the Dream Dimension. That is going to make things a little bit awkward for Carnage. Next turn's turn 4. Turn 4 could just be dropping Moon Girl. Could just potentially be using Cosmo and Moon Girl to mess with my opponent's ability to mess with us. I think I'm just going to play Cosmo right here for right now, And this is really going to impact the ability of players to Carnage in general, as now you can no longer Carnage in location 1 or 3, and... Oh, this is still turn 4. Oh, wow, I missed that. I think that's fine. So I think next turn we're just planning on Namoring in the vault and hoping that that is enough. And I'm going to Moon Girl over here for right now to grab additional copies of Namor and hope that that might be good. All right, we're going to get Spider-Woman a little bit. Somewhat annoying, but Moon Girl gives us an additional Namor, and I think that will win the vault for us. I think that's just going to be straight up enough to win the vault, at which point it's all about battling in the other 2 locations, one of which I'm already winning. The other one my opponent is going to definitely take over with Wolfsbane, but we win the vault, so all we have to do is worry about a location where we're already up by 3, which isn't the worst place in the world to be. Now, we're only going to be able to add 7 there, which means we tie against Namor, so we actually lose if my opponent has a Namor themselves, but I think this is still worth going for. We've locked down every location, and now we're just going to play Namor and Carnage, just vanilla units that are adding 7, making this a total of 10. If they have Chavez, they win. They played 2 things. I think that's really good for us. So they played Gamora, which is going to tie it so we actually get a loss. Oh, wait, no! Cosmo shut down Gamora. We win! Oh, awesome, awesome. So Gamora is all cards from Guardians of the Galaxy do the same thing. They have on reveal if your opponent played a card here this turn, do an effect. Gamora is the biggest payoff among them. Surprising that they didn't go for Gamora in the vault, because that would have been such an obvious play, but I guess they felt like they were winning there already and wanted to throw down Wolfsbane and then save Gamora for the final turn. But Cosmo shut down the on-reveal ability of Gamora, which meant that just playing some additional units with no effects was enough to win Subterranea, and then we lost Dream Dimension and we won this with Namor. Now, what would have been really interesting this game if Gamora went off, gave them +4, we actually lose the game, because then it's 10-10. I've won a location, they've won a location, so then the game looks at point differentials. We won this one by 6, they won this one by 14. So they would win the game because they had a bigger differential in the other location after a tie. But luckily, Cosmo was able to lock things down and find us the win there. So pretty sweet stuff. I guess technically if Cosmo wasn't here, we could have gone Carnage first, eaten Cosmo plus the Rock, or like whatever this is plus the Rock, and then we've got Carnage plus Namor, which is 6 plus 5, so that would have been 11, and we would have won Subterranea, but neither here nor there. We got the win, and we got a win with Namor, the featured card, despite not having Atlantis on the field here. So pretty sweet stuff. You can see why I like Marvel Snap. It definitely keeps you on your toes. I think that the gameplay is very engaging. There's some interesting things that play into both random elements, which I really enjoy in games, and then also psychological elements and trying to predict what your opponents are going to do. And both of those things in combination, I think, just make it a ton of fun. And we are going to be taking a look at a game where we start with Nova Carnage, and the first location is Mojo World. Whoever has more cards here gets plus 100 power. So you win that location by having more units at it than your opponent does. Pretty sweet. If it's a tie, you both have 100. My opponent leads turn 1 with a Guardian Rocket Raccoon, trying to predict that we'd play there, and we would have played there, but we didn't have anything to play just yet. So now I'll run out the Mr. Sinister, and location 2 is Atlantis. Our opponent is going to play a Sentinel, so this adds a copy of itself to your hand. I think we saw this in an earlier game, and we are now basically tied with my opponent in Mojo World. We both have the we both have the same amount of cards. My opponent beating us by 1, but I think that we'll both probably wind up filling out this location. Might just want to go ahead right now and Cosmo into Camartage. I know that we'll be able to Nova Carnage in Atlantis later and get some nice advantage out of that. We do have Namor, but I think that next turn we're going to be probably playing Cable plus something else maybe in the Mojo World. And I just think that it's going to be useful to stop our opponent from doing any silly Camartage stuff. So on reveal effects happen twice here. Okay, and now my opponent and I both choosing to just totally shut that down. So that makes a whole lot of sense. And like I said, I think that's going to leave Atlantis as our Carnage location, because I don't want to Carnage Mojo World. We will lose it because we will only have the Carnage there, and we won't have the plus 100 power. Awkwardly, though, we can only play either Cable or the Devil Dinosaur. We could play both next turn, which means that maybe we just slam Namor in Atlantis. I feel like this does telegraph what we're trying to do a little bit, which is kind of scary. But I think it's how we have to play this one. So, gonna go for Namor over there. My opponent goes for Devil Dinosaur over in Mojo World. We will probably swing that back a little bit by playing Cable Devil Dinosaur ourselves, and then we'll win it with Carnage Nova on the final turn is the plan. Now looking at Carnage plus Deathlock plus maybe a 2-drop or something that we draw off of. Actually, we could just throw the Carnage here. That would shrink the Dinosaur though, but let's go for Cable plus Devil Dinosaur. I think that's going to be the way to play. And then next turn, my opponent and I both looking to Nova Deathlock in Atlantis, potentially. So we'll see how this all shakes out. I want to win Mojo World. I think filling it up right now is going to be the best way to do so, because we might not find a card that we could play there next turn, because we can't play Carnage over there. So I think this is going to be fine. We'll see how this one goes. We could also Carnage Nova in the center and then Deathlock on Taj. That is slightly more power overall and could definitely be worth going for, yeah. Okay, my opponent throws in a snap at the last second. And what are they going to do with their play for the turn? They are going to be throwing a Namor in Atlantis, which is fine because we actually beat Namor. And we steal their Chavez, so that is going to be pretty funny because they were planning on... So Chavez, you always draw her on turn 6. We saw this, I believe, in the first game. So they were planning on just slamming a Chavez on Mojo World, taking that over, and winning it, but now they can't do that, so they might have to rely on some other interesting cards. If my opponent has Elektra, then we do lose Mojo World, so that part is awkward. We do win Atlantis with Deathlock Nova. So now I'm just considering, do I want to Deathlock Nova, or what happens if we Carnage Nova, then we lose Atlantis, right? Because it's 4, yeah, so we have to go Nova, Deathlock, that wins us Atlantis, right? Or does it still lose us Atlantis? 5, oh, it does still lose us Atlantis, doesn't it? Shoot, okay, so we just lose to Elektra. That's just going to be what happens. Let's throw a Deathlock over on Camartage. Hope that that's enough, but like I said, Elektra will just mean that... Oh, wait, no, we don't have any one-cost cards here, so they can't Elektra. So I think that this is good. Oh, shoot, do we still have enough time? No, we don't. I should have played... I played my cards in the wrong order. I should have played Deathlock first. I don't think I have enough time to redo my turn. The clock is a little bit tough to see sometimes in this game, but I did cost myself 2 power here. Doesn't look like it's going to matter. My opponent also messing with their Namor, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But we'll see. We win Carnage, we win Mojo World 14-18, and now what is their last card? And how could this win them the game? Oh, Hulkbuster on Namor. Okay, so that is a good combo. Just gives Namor an additional +4/+4. It combines with one of your other units, but it's not going to be enough to win the game. I wasn't feeling super confident that game, so I didn't snap, but my opponent snapped, so we do wind up with a few extra victory points here, a few victory cubes. Really close game, all things considered, and a really sweet one. Again, I did cost myself 2 power here on this final location, but ultimately not a huge deal, and is going to mean that we get to end this video on a win. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know how you felt about it, either in the comments below or on my Discord, which you can find a link for in the video description as well. I'll throw this at the end of the video. If you want to figure out how to play Marvel Snap yourself, join the Discord and ask, and I will throw that information there. But yeah, really enjoying just the overall gameplay. I think that the progression system for how you unlock cards is a little bit awkward, because if somebody has a card that you see and you think is cool, there's just nothing you can do. But it is going to mean that like everything is relatively easy to obtain. There's just, you just have to grind to unlock it, and there's like a limit of how much you can grind per day as well. But on the positive sides, I really like the locations that make every game so different, while at the same time having one featured location. This week, again, it was Atlantis, that you're probably going to see every day, that give, or every game, which adds a cool kind of build around of the week. It could maybe be longer, because I feel like they're over so quickly, and they don't even seem to last a week. I feel like they come on Tuesday, and then by like Saturday, they're gone. So maybe I'm missing something. I'll have to read some blog posts or something. But I really like that, and then I also really like just some of the mind games that you get to play in the game as well. And I guess if my opponent had the America Chavez, they would have been able to win this game, because they would have been able to take over Mojo World with that. So really lucky there in the end to be able to steal that card from my opponent. But I guess that's why you hang on to your cables. If you play this on turn 5, there's actually a really good chance. I think there's like a 70% chance, because we take a look, my opponent only had 3 cards in their deck, if you count, oh, I'm sorry, 4 cards in their deck. So 25% chance. Why did I say 70? I guess it's 70% to not hit it. I don't know where I got that number from, but it's higher potentially if you take other cards out of their deck with other effects like this, that you're able to steal their Chavez. Yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Let me know what you thought of the content. I do want to make more Marvel's content in the future, more Marvel Snap content. Like I said, the big things holding me back in the previous 2 weeks are, one, first week I only was able to play up against bots before the ladder reset on this new season. Second week, by the time I had recorded stuff, the featured location was already out, so it felt a little bit awkward. And also, on my second week of playing, I didn't have Nova Carnage, so a lot of it was just like hoping my opponents didn't have Nova Carnage, which was true at some of the lower ranks. But that is going to be it for this one. I'll wrap the video up now. Thank you guys very much for watching, though, and let me know what you thought. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.